Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and super intelligent shades of the colour sky blue, pink, however you identify, we really couldn't care less how you identify. We'll treat you all the same, unless you're an idiot, in which case we won't. There's a few idiots around, isn't there? Rena is not one of them. My lovely guest today is Rena from the 5 Minute Body and other things as well. Anyone that's had their head somewhere warm and moist that doesn't know who Rena is, listen up, because Rena's about to tell us who Rena is. Go, Rena.
Hey, Bart. Hello, everyone. My name is Rina. So I am the founder of, it used to be called 5 Minute Body, but now it's called the Primal and the Primal Podcast. We had that little name change since,
Okay.
we're all about carnivore and ketogenic lifestyle, high fat lifestyle. So the Primal kind of goes with that name change. So a bit about me. I've been carnivore for about 5 years. I started in August of 2020, loving the lifestyle. It has healed a lot of different things, different ailments that has affected me throughout my whole life, things like eating disorders, mental health issues. Also, my dad has a brain disease, which is a terminal brain condition. So, obviously, doing a higher fat approach, a carnivore lifestyle is very helpful for any brain conditions and also overall health. I have fun on my podcast, interview awesome people like Bart K and other carnivore keto like minded doctors and experts. I have a carnivore community. Again, lots of fun questions and things about carnivore. And just mainly love to educate people, talk about carnivore, talk about why fat is so important. And yeah, happy to answer lots of questions.
All right. That might be interesting to hear about what someone's been saying on the interwebs, because a lot of people have opinions on the interwebs, don't they?
They do.
Of course, the thing about opinions is that they're really just like anuses, in that almost everybody's got one and it's full of shit.
Well, I don't really get that much controversy because the way that maybe because I interview other people, I tend not to say my opinion so much. I say what works for me. And then I let the doctor or I let the expert talk about the science and talk about this specific topic. So for me personally, I don't get a lot of backlash. And if people have any questions around carnivore, they can just do the research themselves. If they don't want to do it, just don't do it. It's very easy.
Yeah, that's it. You do you. I think that's
Yep.
a great way of looking at life, really. Here's the first question, which is good, except the drill here, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is to put a large capital Q in front of your questions, then a colon, then type your question out in full. Don't use abbreviations if you please, and suffix the whole thing with a question mark. That way it's easier for His Majesty Lord Edward Yellow, Ted, King of the Bears, to find the questions and bring them up for us. All right, what's the difference between carnivore and keto, Rena?
Love the question. So it depends on your metabolic flexibility. It's a level of carbohydrates. Carnivore really takes the carbohydrate dial down to zero, and it really depends on your level of insulin resistance. So that really depends if you want to do carnivore, you would want your carbohydrates to be as close to zero as possible. So eating animal meats, seafood, high fat meats, dairy, if you can tolerate it, is all part of a carnivore lifestyle. The difference between carnivore and keto is that with keto, you're allowing some vegetables and some plants into your lifestyle, also allowing some, low carb nuts and other things. So that really depends on your level of metabolic flexibility, how much carbs you can tolerate. Dr. Ken Berry always says everyone should try a 90-day carnivore challenge. If you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend that you do so. As Bart will say, humans are obligate carnivores, meaning that we can eat some veg from time to time, but we're really not ancestrally designed to eat vegetables or ancestrally designed to eat fruit. We're meant to eat fatty, high fat meats. Carnivore is incredible for most people. Some people like a little bit of variation, and that's why they're going to try keto, or they can tolerate more carbs. For me, high fat carnivore, love it, works for me. Did keto for 10 years, still had an eating disorder. So, carnivore fixed everything.
Nice, nice. I'd just like to add a couple of things to that, if I may, just because why not? Let's get everybody's opinion while we're here. Because remember what I said about opinions just now? Except I'm the science. Trust me, I'm safe and effective. Yeah, don't question the science. Yeah, look, a keto diet, guys, is one that's designed to produce the highest likelihood that a person is in ketogenesis at any given time. and that when you wee on that stick, it'll be more pink or purple than the tan color is before you wee on it. There are a lot of people who believe that the goal of the ketogenic diet is to have ketones and to be in ketosis. And I don't blame people for feeling that way, because that's the name of the thing. And that's what the keto proponents are putting forward to people. Oh, you need to be in ketosis. Ketones are great, and the whole idea is to be in ketosis. That's why it's called the ketogenic diet. That's what we're doing here. Absolute nonsense. That's not the goal of the ketogenic diet at all for most people. Most people who go on a ketogenic diet do it because they've heard it's a good way to lose fat, which is correct. It absolutely is a good way to lose fat. When you compare that, however, to a strictly carnivore diet, the real difference in intakes that I've noticed is that a carnivore diet contains vastly more protein, usually, than a ketogenic diet. In fact, they will tell you, the ketogenic folks, don't eat too much protein because that will kick you out of ketosis. As if that's a bad thing. Bloody isn't a bad thing. That's your metabolism doing exactly what it should do. It's supposed to kick you out when it doesn't need the ketones. All right? So actually, most of the time, a carnivore dieter is not in ketosis. A lot of people say, oh, the carnivore diet is the most extreme ketogenic diet there is. Rubbish. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, most carnivores that wee on that stick will not get anything above the very lowest detectable level on the wee stick, in fact. So that's interesting, isn't it? What do you think of that, Rena?
Yeah, there's different reasons why people would want to do a carnivore or a ketogenic diet. So if it comes from a therapeutic perspective, whether it's cancer, whether it's mental health, whether it's, multiple sclerosis, so an autoimmune condition, these are all reasons why you might want to have higher levels of ketones in the presence of low blood sugar and low blood glucose. So that's what matters. There are a lot of questions around ketosis, and people generally ask that question because they want to lose weight. And they think that if you are in ketosis, it's the best way to lose weight, or they think it's about calories, which, as you know, Bart, we have discussed this on the community. Both are false. So you really, the beauty about carnivore is that you don't necessarily have to test anything. Bart has mentioned this as well. Ketosis, blood glucose, all the rest of it, all the blood labs go by how you feel. And if you do the things that Bart says, which is his 5 magical things, he has got a great YouTube video about that. That is really going to help you improve your metabolic health, reverse insulin resistance, and get great health. And that's what you want. Diet is one of them. 4 other things you have to do. Am I just saying the same stuff that you say, Bart, on my community? Kind of. But it's so true. So true. We don't really need to count all these things, pee on the stick, get this device. Humans didn't actually do that millions of years ago. We were just kind of eating and eating when we could, not having an aggressive fasting schedule, et cetera, et cetera. So ketosis, testing ketones. I mean, I don't do it. I've never done it. I think it's annoying. I just eat carnivore, and I'm in the best health ever. So
yeah, awesome. Because the other thing is, keto, the production of ketones is not the only way that fat is oxidized, thus exits your body. Beta oxidation is still a thing. It still exists, and it doesn't need ketosis to achieve. Anyway, so there's that. The other thing that's a false concept that I still hear people talking about invariably, so the concept of the calorie as a valid measurement of the energetic equivalent of food, we all know that's false now. And if you don't, then you need to binge watch my channel, because I've covered it, 100 times. The other one that's false that I've also covered hundreds of times is this concept, insulin resistance. Rubbish. No such thing actually exists. It's not an actual phenomena. It's a construct. It's an idea. It's a metric that has to be put together on a piece of paper or in a calculator or a spreadsheet somewhere from actual physiological measurements of various levels of things. Most notably, glucose levels and insulin levels in a person's blood at any given time. Because I would challenge anyone that's watching this to go to the internet after the show, and try and find a company that manufactures, markets, and sells an insulin resistance meter, a piece of kit that you can apply to human body fluids in some way that will tell you exactly what your insulin resistance is. There isn't one. It does not exist. It's an idea, it's a construct, and it's a ridiculous construct. It's a silly idea. Anyway, there's that. So, carnivore versus lion diet. What are the big differences, Rena? Why is it important, if it's important? And who is it that needs to be on a lion diet as opposed to just a more relaxed carnivore diet, shall we say?
Okay, so the main differences is the type of food that you're eating. So lion diet is going to be your high-fat ruminant meats. So anything that comes from a cow, a lamb, like venison meat, all these different things, ruminant meat, ruminant animals. The difference is that they have a four-chamber stomach, so they're able to break down everything that they eat, even if they're not having grass and if they're having grains and everything. So it tends to be more tolerable to people. So if you want to have the ruminant meats and red meat, that's lion diet. So the exact lion diet is actually high fat red meat, salt, and water, and that's it. Not coffee, not tea, no spices, no herbs, nothing. So that's the lion diet. Carnivore, as you would know, is kind of a wider range of foods that you can eat, all high fat meats, but it does include things like poultry, chicken, turkey, seafood, oysters, mussels. You can have high fat ruminant meats and red meat. So it has more variation. Why would you choose carnivore versus lion diet? I would say you should try carnivore first. And if you still feel that you have some ailments and things that aren't are getting better, if you haven't lost fat, not weight, fat, all these different things, you can try lion. But I would also say that if you're doing carnivore, eliminate the dairy. Dairy is a big one that holds people, stops people from healing, and it also stops people from losing weight. I've had so many people in our group that say they're stopping the dairy and they've lost like 8 pounds or 10 pounds. I lost 4 pounds in 1 week. I just stopped dairy. So it's really amazing that when you do carnivore and you get rid of like cheese, yogurt, sometimes even butter can affect people. That can be quite good just to get those results. But if you've done carnivore and you've also done the zero dairy and you're not getting the results, doing a lion diet can also be beneficial. I haven't done lion diet yet. I think it's a bit hard for me because I still love eggs. I have 7 eggs every single morning. So it's kind of hard for me to do lion.
Do you have steak with your eggs in the morning?
No, I just have 7 eggs in the morning. Sometimes I have bacon with it, cooked in some butter. And then in the
Gracious.
evening, it's about 3 to 350 grams of ground beef or some meat. So, I
Right.
like to have a bit of bacon sometimes. I like to have some eggs sometimes. And a lot of people can tolerate bacon and eggs, and they can tolerate beef. It's just the dairy. So I would say do carnivore, but try to get rid of the dairy and see how you go. If not, try lion.
Yeah. Okay, so those who have intractable body fat that won't seem to move on a carnivore diet, get rid of the dairy and eggs and see what happens, because that would be my first guess.
Mhm.
That would be my first advice to a person, absolutely. And secondly, if you have any stubborn autoimmunity issues on a carnivore diet, try lion diet for a while. That's what I would
Yep.
say, personally. Cool.
Easy.
All righty, very good. Love it, Rena. Love it. All right. Do you see many women over 40 that thrive on a lower fat to protein approach? In other words, high
Absolutely.
protein, low fat.
No.
No?
No, I really don't. So there is something called PSMF, protein sparing modified fasting. That's when you
Yeah.
really try to lower the fat, even less than I think 30 grams a day or close to zero. And then you really try to up the protein. I'm guessing this question is about fat loss and trying to get some body recomping for women over 40. I think we have to understand that fat, especially for women, is so crucial, especially when you're over 40, 50, 60, 70 for hormones, especially when you're going to go into menopause. According to Dr. Elizabeth Bright, menopause is not actually a thing. Maybe it's like the insulin thing that Bart was talking about. You should just look down and see that your period has stopped and oops, okay, that's done. No side effects, no hot flushes, nothing. So the reason why we have all these side effects and everything, and why we go into this menopause state, it's so bad for so many women, is because we have all these toxins, we have all this bad food, all these goitrogens from vegetables, seed oils, we have processed foods. So the fat, the animal fat and the saturated fat is so important for women and their hormones. We always like to say either a 70-30 fat to protein ratio if you want to do that, or, protein. Bart talks about the amount of protein that people need. He uses a equation, but as an example, at least 100 grams of protein a day for women is really, really important. And then you want that fat to be equal to that, if not more. So the fat higher than the protein is quite important. I'm yet to see somebody that can do a protein sparing modified fast, lower fat, higher protein, and actually feel mentally stable and not look like you are so unhealthy. I'm yet to see that. And if you can show me somebody like that, that would be amazing, because I'll be thinking, okay, what are you eating apart from that? Because you must be taking some sort of supplement, caffeine or something to help you function. Fat is that important for your overall health.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, the design by natural selection over millions and millions of years in the human lineage is that we build our bodies using protein that we intake from our diet, and we fuel our body. We allow metabolic work to occur by oxidizing fats, largely. So never the twain shall meet is not true either. There is some ability to cross over and use different fuel sources in an emergency situation. But if you're eating a bunch of lean protein and not enough fat, you're going to get a thing called rabbit starvation sooner or later. So yes, this whole idea that you should avoid fat in your diet, I think, is a very, very foolish thing long term.
And can I just say that I am 41. So like, if anyone's thinking, what does she know? I am over 40. So just
There you
letting you
go.
know that.
I'm a little bit over 42, just quietly.
Oh, come on, Bart. You look
I know.
damn young
I
for
know.
your age. No, you look really,
I
really
know.
good. That's the thing. People
you.
that do a higher fat approach, they actually have better skin, better energy, better everything. But I just wanted to put that in there in case people are thinking, well, she, like, what does she know? But being over 40, and especially if you've had an eating disorder, yo-yo dieting, all these different things, lower calories, fat is even more important, as well as adequate protein.
Mm, mm. So I saw a picture of you with your sister online the other day. Is she older or younger?
She's older, so I'm 41. She's turning 44 next week.
Right. There you go.
Is
I
she
couldn't
carnivore?
pick.
No.
No, I couldn't pick which one was older and which one was younger. So there you go. I wasn't actually looking closely either. I was just like, oh, Rena's got a good looking sister. So, there you
Well,
go.
she's available.
Oh, right. Well, anyway, that's
If
another matter.
anyone wants to go on my Instagram and then just check.
Yeah. Right. Good, good, good. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Plant toxins on keto. Is it an issue, do you think? Can it be an issue?
I would say yes. There are some people like Dr. Chafee that say absolutely do not have any vegetables, do not have any plants because they are trying to kill you. I would say, I mean, I'm not that extreme. I personally don't have any plants, don't have any vegetables, don't have any fruit because I personally don't feel good on that. But I also do see a lot of other experts and people saying that, eating safe vegetables, I mean, there's not many safe vegetables, but there are some fruits that can be not as bad as vegetables. Like, for example, avocado, if you can tolerate it. What else? There's olives, if you can tolerate it. But I think the main thing is, if you can tolerate something, then why not? But the other side of it is that if you feel better by being carnivore and you have the absolute best energy, best health, why don't you want that? So that's what I would say to people. And that's where I don't have vegetables, I don't have salad, and I don't have fruit. And that's why keto didn't work for me. That's why carnivore works for me, because I want to feel optimal and I want to feel the best that I can.
Awesome. Awesome. And while we're talking about being well put together and attractive, of course, we said Rina has a good looking sister. She herself is not too bad either, are you, Rina? Well put together indeed. Somebody here is saying they don't see the bathing suit part that was in the thumbnail of this video. The only picture of Rina I had available.
Oh
Plus,
gosh, but
I know. It was an old one that we used a while ago, but it's not that long ago.
that was probably about 2 to 3 years ago, I think.
Right. So why are you not coming on the live stream in your swimsuit? What's the story?
Oh, trying to be, professional and just not
Professional
having
and
like a
stuff.
bathing suit here. And
But it's
probably
my
not
channel.
the best part.
Professional. Goodness.
And plus, it's like a wintry, rainy day, so I don't really want to wear a bathing suit on a
That's probably
YouTube
a fairly
live.
good reason. Yeah, that's probably a fair point too. All right, enough teasing the guests. Right, yes, that's quite right. Ketosis is, well, they say it's a fasting state. let's call it a postprandial state. Let's call it a state where you have absorbed the food intakes from your last meal, whenever that was, and rather than storing fat, you are now breaking down fat to provide energy, precisely because, I mean, the main trigger for ketosis is lowered blood glucose. That's the main thing that sets the ketogenic pathway in action. And the reason for it is because you have to have a certain amount of glucose in your blood at any given time to subserve the needs of several tissues in the human body that absolutely need glucose. It's the same argument that idiots used to say, well, your brain, for example, has to have glucose, ergo you must eat glucose. No, because gluconeogenesis is still a thing. It still exists. So there it is. What about ketones, especially beta-hydroxybutyrate, and all the researchers, you mean the research, about as more than energy stuff, but signaling molecule that have multiple deep effects on the mitochondria, organelles, etc. What about that stuff, Rina?
So beta hydroxybutyrate, I mean, I don't know that much about it, but I know that when it comes to the mitochondria, ketones is just one byproduct that, or beta hydroxybutyrate is just one byproduct that's going to help with the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the energy cell of your cell. So it feeds off so many different things that it actually needs. But the main thing is avoiding all the toxins. I think people try to look at, I need ketones to have this byproduct so I have better mitochondria. But I believe, or many experts that I've spoken to say that if you avoid all the toxins, which is in our environment and the food that we eat, that is going to allow your mitochondria to work and function properly through the byproduct that it's meant to work towards. I'm sure that Bart can elaborate in all these chemical and all these complex pathways, but just keeping it quite simple. If you want your mitochondria to function properly, give it the nutrients, give it the foods, give it the environment that it needs to function properly. And part of it is what we eat. Part of it is sleep. Part of it is stress. Part of it is light therapy. Part of it is what we cook with. So there's many different facets in our everyday life that's going to help with mitochondria, not just focusing on ketosis and ketones.
Yeah,
I hope that makes
exactly.
sense where I'm coming from with that.
Absolutely. Yes, it absolutely does. So beta-hydroxybutyrate is really a very simple enzymatic reaction that breaks it down into acetyl coenzyme A, which is the first intermediary of the TCA tricarboxylic acid, or Krebs cycle, whatever you particularly call it, wherever you come from. And it's exactly the same as what is fed into the same cycle when you undergo beta oxidation, which dishes up a short chain, a 2-acetyl unit in the same way, that's broken down in the same way. So that's no big deal. It's just an alternate source for acetyl units, basically, for that purpose. In terms of the second messenger hormone-like thing and signaling of tissues and giving the body an idea of its energetic status and stuff, absolutely, yes, it does that. That doesn't mean that you should be in ketosis all the time. Still, it's one small B road, if you like, in your metabolism. It's not the main highway. And it doesn't matter if it's not constantly flowing with vehicles, if that analogy goes up your flagpole. I hope that's helpful. So yes, absolutely, there are research papers indicating that ketones play many roles. Of course they do. Yeah. Okay. So
I think you don't have to be in like measuring ketones to have that effect. If you just look at how you feel, how's your mental clarity, how's your sleep, that's really going to look at or tell you if this lifestyle is actually working for you, as opposed to measuring ketones. Because many of the times, even if you're in a ketogenic state, and if you test on your blood work, or if you test using the strips, it might not be so accurate as well. So again, the testing is not going to tell you anything. How you feel tells you if something is working.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on chicken?
Oh, good question. So I used to eat a lot of chicken. I used to eat a lot of chicken thigh. When I was keto, I used to eat a lot of chicken breast. I just don't feel great on chicken. There's many reasons why that could be a reason. Ruminant meats have higher saturated fats. I just don't feel full. My brain doesn't feel great when I eat chicken. I just don't feel great. So I just eat ruminant meats, so lamb and beef and eggs and bacon a lot. If I eat chicken, I know I won't feel great. Also, chicken has less fat than lamb, than beef. So if you want to go for better fat loss, better energy, better overall feeling, I would say go for the ruminant animals. Chicken is not bad, especially if you want some of the variation to a carnivore lifestyle, but I just don't have that as my everyday staple of foods.
Yeah. I think personally that chicken is an absolutely fine part of the diet, despite the thoughts out there and there may well be some validity around chickens are treated with antibiotics and growth hormones to make them in the commercial chicken environment, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not suggesting any of that stuff is okay or good. It's not. I am quite happy to eat a small amount of chicken as part of my diet, and I do. I don't find that there's any problem with it for me in the level or the amount that I'm eating it, so it's okay. It is, however, missing a couple of vital things like heme iron is missing from chicken and other white meats. The fatty acid profile is just slightly suboptimal without it being a big deal. I still think that people should base their diet 80% on the muscle meat. Notice I said muscle meat and associated fat of large ruminant animals or smaller ruminant animals. We're not sizist here, are we, really? Yeah. Okay. Do you use or promote any of those kind of supplements at all, Rena? Do you think they have a place? What do they do? I don't even know those ones.
Have you ever heard
Never
of those
even.
before, Bart?
No, I haven't. Oh, I think I might have heard of Tongkat Ali before. I haven't heard of the other one. And it seems to be for male function, shall we say.
Okay,
Maybe that seems
maybe
to be the implication.
erectile dysfunction or something?
Maybe. I myself, at my tender age, I'm actually 107, for those that want to know. I'm not really 107, I'm joking. But I, have never experienced any kind of dysfunction in that regard. In fact, I've always been relatively highly, shall we say, interested at all times, pretty much, and almost insatiable. So you're like talking to me about that kind of stuff is like you need to go and talk to somebody else about that. I would suggest Dr. Kiltz would be a good one to talk to about such things. That is his absolute sphere of expertise and knowledge, and that's where his practice is, and fertility and sexual function, all of that kind of stuff. I will say this. Recently, there have been some influences around here in the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia, shall we say, that are not usually around here. Young, attractive female. Obviously, I'm not suggesting that anything untoward goes on. It doesn't, but I have noticed my body has reacted to the mere presence of that person here in terms of all of that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's just a dietary thing or a nutritional thing. I think like the environment in which you place a human body has a massive impact on what it does and how it behaves within itself and whatever else. So that was interesting because there's been just the two of us and we've been quite isolated from others for quite some time. And, maybe my normal level of interest had waned over several years, and I didn't even really notice it slightly. But anyway, yes, bring in a new influence, and I'm not, as I say, I'm not suggesting anything, dodgy is going on. It absolutely is not. We're talking about a very young person that's here relative to myself. And this is an absolutely safe environment for people to come and visit if that's what they want to do. I'm just making the point that the human body will react to what's around it and who's around it, but all by itself without you thinking about it. So that was just interesting, really. Anywho, there it is.
Just another note
Yes.
on that, supplements
Yeah, go
on
on.
Carnivore, anything supplements, whether it's for sexual health or anything, I mean, that's the whole point of Carnivore, is that you really don't need that many supplements. So if somebody's giving you a, do this or do that, probably you don't need it if you're doing Carnivore the right way. Lots of muscle meat, eat the ruminants, eat enough fat, go outside, sleep enough, light therapy. Probably most issues fix themselves, and that's the beauty of Carnivore.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, people are obsessive about ketones, and it's probably because of the way ketogenic devotees, keto diet folks communicate about it, what it is, the importance of it. It's kind of a theology, in the same way that many dietary factions, groups of people, the carnivore folks, the hardcore carnivore folks, the lion folks, the keto folks, the vegan folks, they all have their own specific way of talking about the stuff, the material that often misrepresents the actual facts, shall we say.
It's kind of like coffee on Carnivore. People are kind of pro, people are kind of against it. I mean, people have to do what works for them, even though Bart and I are saying that you don't necessarily have to test for ketones. But if you want to do it, go for it. If it makes you feel good, go for it. If you want to spend the money on it and the time on it, it's up to the person. Same way if somebody wants to have coffee, up to the person.
Right. Absolutely. I drink coffee.
Are you back on coffee now?
Well, I'm sort of 2-3 cups a day.
That's good.
Which is good compared to where I was, which was 12, 13, 14. What I have found at the more controlled level is that my blood pressure dropped by 30 millimeters of mercury on both ends. So I thought, well, that's indicated. I need to stay at this level because my blood pressure was too high. And it seems to have been down to the coffee. Now I can sit down, wait 5 minutes, take my blood pressure, and it's like 117, 115 over 70, 75, which, in a man of my age is basically unheard of outside of the carnivore community and outside of the community of folks that know how to biohack and look after their health a bit. And by the way, Brian Johnson is not one of those folks who knows a damn thing about it. Just thought I'd throw that out there for those that... What do you think about Brian Johnson?
I haven't seen his content, but I think what he talks about, to live until you're 120 or 150. I haven't seen much of what he does, but I don't know. I think it's a bit extreme.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And somebody, Mark, is talking about Shane Sterling here. I've got no idea who that is. I'm sorry, Mark. Shane Sterling?
I don't either.
No,
sorry,
okay.
Mark.
Yeah, never mind. All right. Apparently Mark doesn't like the guy. Good. That's Lieutenant General Mark of the Meat Militia, who's learning the correct way to curse and swear. And it's actually, he's probably following what I do by way of formulation there a bit without realizing it a bit. And it's actually a formulation that I stole from a fictional character in a movie. It was the Steve Stifler character in American Pie. What you do is you take a perfectly innocuous word and you double barrel it with a curse word like cock lunch or shit blanket or fuckstick or ass hat, shit lips, something like that. So there you go. You all know now how to swear properly. Just take any swear word and any other random word. It doesn't need to make sense. It's just for the shock value. So there you go.
Doesn't the YouTube censor you for swearing, or is it okay?
It does not.
No, it does not. Because I never swear on my channel, ever.
I noticed that. That's because you're a lady, Rina.
Well, part of it is because I'm a lady, but then part of it, I just thought there's certain things that you shouldn't do on YouTube, like, because it's going to be censored.
Right. No, there's no censorship per se. If there is some shadow banning, there might be on the basis of swearing, but I do not believe that swearing is a thing that will trigger it. The shadow banning, the turning down of your visibility, the handbraking of a YouTube channel seems to be about saying things they don't like.
Have you seen that on your channel? The shadow banning? Yeah, me too.
Absolutely, unmistakably.
Me too. It's very frustrating.
And very obvious. You could just, all you need to do is look at your YouTube back office and you go, it started there and that's where it finished, over there.
Yeah.
In one stretch, I got 2 years of shadow ban in one hit for saying the C19 thing was not a thing that we needed to worry about right back at the beginning when they were first trying to roll this barrel out, and they were being very jealous about, you cannot say this isn't the problem that we're saying it is. You weren't allowed to do that. So I said that, and they hit the button on my channel, and for 2 years, not one single person growth-wise in 2 years, despite the fact that the number of people subscribing to my channel remained absolutely the same. But miraculously and surprisingly, the exact same number of people that signed up to my channel unsubscribed to my channel in a week, except they didn't know they did that because they didn't. YouTube did it unilaterally, including paid channel members. Credit card, I want to be a member of this guy's channel. I like this guy. I'm going to support his channel. They were unsubscribing those guys without telling them that they'd done it. Amazing. Anyway, that was then. This is now, and things are a little bit more relaxed, but not much. You still are not allowed to refute anything said by the WHO on your channel, because they'll actually take that video down and issue you a strike for doing it.
Yes,
Even
I think
though it's been shown that that organization doesn't know the difference between their anus and their elbow if I labeled both and taught them to read. Anyway, that's for another day.
It's good that you're very abrupt and you actually say it how it is. I think I don't do that so much. I try to reach as many people as possible, as we all do. But it would be interesting if people know that on social media that things can be limited and censored, especially if it's a conversation about red meat and saturated fat and butter. If it goes against guidelines that the World Health Organization and all that talk about, you're going to be censored. But we are so lucky that we have such a strong community with the likes of Dr. Sean Baker and Ken Berry, Anthony Chafee, all these other people that are singing the same song and the same tune, and it's growing and more people are hearing about it. So all in all, it's kind of good and it's growing.
Yes, agreed. Awesome. Pork rinds and collagen, good source?
I don't know that pork rinds are a good source of collagen. A good source of collagen is just fatty cuts of red meat. Bone marrow, bone broth, eat the tissue. You don't need a supplement. Pork rinds are processed. So I don't necessarily have pork rinds. For people that are new to carnivore and they need the variation and the crunch, so if they want to have some like crunchy chicken or some crunchy meat, they can use pork rinds and use that as breading. But again, that's that transition to carnivore, which transition to carnivore should be at least 8 to 12 weeks, that you should be doing it over a period of time, not just overnight. And that's so for many reasons. Part of it is for your gut to actually transition as well, depending on what you're eating previously. But pork rinds, it's a processed carnivore food. So the idea is to stick with unprocessed real foods. But again, if you're new to carnivore, it's okay. Doesn't help with collagen. And probably you're asking that question because you want some anti-aging, skin, maybe some joint benefits. Fatty red meat, bone marrow, bone broth. Bone broth is absolutely incredible.
Yep, and those gristly bits that people often discard from the steak and don't eat those because they're full of collagen. Yeah. Also, it seems that type 1 and type 3 collagen peptides are more absorbable and usable to make collagen than is actual collagen digestively, paradoxically. Anyway, that's for another day. What can I gain to add faster recovery? I have been doing carnivore at least 90 days, exercising, etc. I have 3 grandkids. Congratulations for that. And when I catch their sickness, it goes straight to my pulmonary system. Well, we'll hear Rina first, but I've got 5 suggestions for you.
Guess so congratulations on the grandkids. My mom has 2 grandkids. I have a niece and a nephew, and they're the joy and the light of our lives. If they could be carnivore, that would be fantastic. So when it comes to recovery and not getting sick, it really comes from having a good immune system and a strong system in general. Carnivore is really going to help, but as we discussed, 4 other things that need to be part of that lifestyle. So when it comes to carnivore, you really want to make sure you're focusing on the ruminant meats, the high fat meats, enough salt, good quality water. Don't stress out too much about, can I have this or can I have that? Main thing is to eat enough protein, eat enough fat, eat enough overall. The next thing, if you want to strengthen the immune system, very, very important, is your sleep. Have enough sleep. Some people say 7 to 9 hours, but I'm not convinced that you have to have 7 to 9 hours. It's the quality of the sleep that matters, the deep sleep, and that really depends person to person. For me, I actually need 9 hours of sleep. I hate it, but I need 9 hours of sleep every single night if I want to feel rested and I want to feel good. Other things, as we mentioned, the light therapy. So first thing in the morning, go out and see the sunshine. If you're in a place in the world that you can actually do that, because it's the light and the UVB that goes into your eyes that signals that it is morning time. It increases the cortisol, lowers the melatonin. Then also conversely, when you sleep, you have to have a really good sleep schedule. So limit the blue light, increase the red light. Just have good quality candles, like beeswax candles. That's going to help with more of the red light. So you don't actually need to buy red light therapy things and devices. What else? Bart's going to talk about grounding, which means feet in the soil, in the earth, because that signals to, I don't know what that actually does for your whole body. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah.
And then what else? Don't have all the other chemicals and toxins. Stress. I didn't say stress. Stress is probably one of the biggest things that people will say lower the stress, but people don't really, they don't implement strategies to lower the stress on a daily routine basis. The same way that we think about carnivore, maybe what to eat, macros, how to achieve our goals, we really need to focus on practices each and every day to lower our stress. Part of that could be deep breathing. Part of it could be going for a nature walk. Part of it could be getting off devices, connecting with people, doing the same things that our ancestors were doing to calm ourselves down is the things that we need to do to lower our stress. The wonderful thing about grandkids is that it can give so much joy, but sometimes a bit of stress. I don't know about, if you've got the grandkids or the niece and nephews, but my niece and nephews, sometimes they can be like, auntie, 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 auntie all the time. And sometimes it can be a little bit too much. But, it's just reframing the mindset to lower the stress.
Yep, absolutely. Good stuff. All right, my 5 health hacks that I would suggest are, number 1, a 100% carnivore diet, or as close to that as you can possibly attain and maintain in your lifestyle. Basically, the closer you get to that, the better. Do not change your diet overnight from anything to anything else without doing a slow and steady transition. That will mess you up, most likely. Don't do that, please. Secondly, you should take the 3 main oral supplementation products from the fine folks at Cerule, not because I get a small commission for suggesting that to you, but because actually the stuff does what it says it does, and that's quite miraculous when you understand it. Did you know your body renews and repairs itself using a system of adult stem cells that unfortunately, as we age, winds down? Isn't that terrible? Luckily enough, we have a product here called Stem Enhance, which reverses that trend. Isn't that great? And if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can buy the hardcore formulation of it, which is my invention, by the way. Well, that formulation is my invention. The active ingredients are not. Anyway, and if you're not living in Australia or New Zealand, you can buy the standard formulation of Stem Enhance Ultra, which looks like that. And you'll get hardcore carnivore as soon as I convince enough Australians and New Zealanders to buy it. What does it do? It causes your bone marrow to release your adult stem cells, which then tool around in your blood and do magics. They renew and repair all these tissues around your body that need it. Isn't that fantastic? Where do you get it from? You get it from there, that link there, which is bkaynutrition.cerule.com. The third thing you should do is ground yourself, as Rina suggested. There are about 19 sort of pilot studies I'm aware of that suggest the potential benefits of grounding, which are covered in a Mick the Vegan splash them up on the screen very, very quickly and take them down again without really discussing them style video. It's one of my in 5 minutes or less videos about specifically earthing and grounding. You should go and watch that if you want to know about it. The fourth thing you should do is block blue wavelengths from your eyes if it's after dark, like nighttime is what I mean. And the fifth thing you should do is 3 or 4 sessions a week, 45 minutes total session time, high intensity burst repeat, HIIT, and or resistance training at the top end of your relative intensity spectrum. Those are the 5 things you should do to minimize your inflammatory overburden. And those are the things that I believe will have a massive impact on a person's life if you'll do them. That's just my opinion, though. It doesn't have to be anybody else's, except that you need to understand that here on my channel, anyone that disagrees with me is guilty of hate speech.
That
Hate
was a
speech
new
is what
thing
that is.
about hate speech, wasn't it? That you can't.
Yeah.
Oh, that was incredible. I think that
Mm.
was a law that was passed in Australia that you cannot do hate speech and that you're going to get criminalized for doing hate speech. People have to be careful.
Yes. I mean, I joke about it here on the channel because what else can you do? But it's not a joke. This is ridiculous.
Hmm.
People being accosted in their homes by police force arriving to arrest them for posting a meme or something or having an opinion on something. It's hate speech, apparently. So I've just decided that if you want to disagree with me, that's hate speech. And I'll have you arrested as soon as you enter Pimbatia. And you'll go to the dungeon, so you will, where Ted will administer the administrative corrections. And the way he will do that, well, it will involve a bucket with some soapy frogs and that wetsuit with the bottom cut out. Not to mention the rampant wildebeest that he keeps down there. Right. That's for another day as well, though. Yes, pigskin is good if it's homemade and not processed to hell. Yes, sure.
Still not the best idea. Still get it
perhaps
from
not. Yeah. Yeah.
better means.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. Right. Rina is amazing and very informative. I agree. That's why I have her on the channel. And that's why
Oh,
she has
thanks,
me on
Clive.
her
That's
channel.
really lovely. That's really nice.
Yes. All right. Video with you and Nisha was the first one they ever saw of you about Carnivore. Okay.
Oh,
Now 8
nice.
months in, that's awesome. There you go. You've changed someone's life, Rena.
Oh, that's always nice to hear.
I know you've changed many more lives than that. I mean, I'm myself. I get messages every week from people saying you've changed my life, and that's great. Yes, do hit the like button. Do hit the like button. I ordered prescription blue blockers from the opticians. I did that this week too. Yep. I just had my eyes retested for the first time in about 5 years, actually. Naughty. I know you're supposed to do it every year or at least 2 at the most. I haven't done it for 5 years, and I just went because I know my prescription is wrong, and these glasses I've been wearing are just absolutely destroyed. The coating on them is all coming off there. It's almost hard to see through. It's almost like, oh, what's that say? Turns out my prescription is less than it was 5 years ago. Isn't that interesting?
That's so interesting. I've seen that so many different times. I've seen that so many times that people actually, that prescription, that minus number or the number, it actually, your eye health gets better when you do Carnivore. Doesn't mean that it's going to go back to its normal condition or the normal eyes, but it does improve. And Dr. Wiedemann talks about why. Carnivore doesn't just affect the eyes, it affects your whole body. It heals everything.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, yes, in terms of the issue you've had there, Claire, yes, I feel your pain in terms of things not being described adequately for you to make a good decision about purchasing things. I have been known to use a company in New Zealand and Australia. Well, it's actually an Australian company, but it might as well be here as well. It's called blockbluelight.com.au, blockbluelight.com.au. And they have 3 different colors of prescription lenses in terms of the orangeness of them, which block out different wavelengths of blue. And they are designed, one for daytime use, one for nightfall use, and one for nighttime use, to optimize all of that kind of stuff. They also have a 4th option, which is the one you're talking about, which doesn't distort the color, but still claims to be a blue blocker. Those ones block about 50% of some of the blue wavelengths, and as such, they're a bit of a have. And you've been had, unfortunately. What I would do in your case is I would ask them for a refund and see if you can send those back, because you can say, look, my understanding was that you were sending me blue blockers. These are clear lenses, ergo, the blue is not fucking blocked, is it? Anyway, there you go. Sorry about the French, Claire. There it is. Yep. Well, that was awkward. I guess you're talking about my earlier discussions about my own energies. Not really awkward. It's normal and natural. We're all human beings here and we're all adults. And if you're not an adult watching this, you shouldn't be watching this. This is not for you. This is an adult discussion. All right. I know both of you are carnivore fanboys. There you go. Rena, you're a boy.
Oh, nice.
All right. But which plant-based liquid do you think is best to add collagen peptides on occasion in terms of being able to absorb that collagen? What do you mean plant-based liquid?
Why would you need a plant-based liquid to absorb collagen peptides? Because
You
the body
don't.
would naturally, yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Good evening, Teddy. Are you late? In which case, report to Ted after the show. This is Ted, if you haven't met Ted before. Ted is the Field Marshal of the Meat Militia, and he dishes out the relevant punishments to those who are not on time for the show. Iguana has collagen. Thank you, Rick. Lack of sleep and blue blockers. I lack sleep because I'm watching you people on my laptop when I should be sleeping.
Exactly. Watch it later.
Yeah, you could. Okay. Tanya says, hey, guys.
Hello,
Yeah,
Tanya.
I agree, Claire. I agree with Claire. I think Rena does look to be in her 20s.
Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. I think my
It's just a fact.
personality doesn't attest to that, but because my husband always tells me I'm like a grandma because I literally will get up at 5 a.m. and I'll sleep at 9 p.m. If he asks me to go out for dinner or anything, I'll just say no because I just can't stay up to after 9 p.m. So I wish I was in my 20s. When I was in my 20s, I was sleeping, 2 a.m. and doing all these different things. But 5 a.m., 9 p.m., I have my wind down after 6 p.m. I eat at 11 a.m., eat at 5 p.m. Like I'm just very a routine person. And I think that comes from experience and that comes from age. And I actually love my age now as opposed to being in my 20s and 30s. And I think that's where I am in my life and how much I've learned and how much better I feel in my own body and my own health from learning from people like you, Bard, but also learning from other people. And I think that they don't want to become older, but I think that we should celebrate age, celebrate experience, and celebrate wisdom. So
Exactly.
I love being 41 and I honor that.
Very good. I agree entirely. I enjoy almost everything about being the age I am now. Yeah.
Almost everything. What's the things that you don't enjoy?
Well, there has been some reduction in my functionality over the last 2 decades in terms of I've always been very strong, very fit, quite well muscled as a much younger man, up to perhaps my mid-30s or so. And since then, there has been a decline. I think mostly because my activity level has declined as a function of stress in my occupation before deciding to be self-employed, and then the process of actually building up a livable income as a self-employed social media influencer, marketer of Cerule, consultant to folks that want one-on-one consultancies, that kind of the way I now generate my income. Because when you start in this industry as a social media influencer, everybody starts with the same number of subs. And that's quite stressful when there's no income and you've given up your brand X career of being an academic, for example, or whatever it is somebody might have been. So I've spent the best part of the last 2 decades being basically sedentary. And as such, there's been quite a noticeable atrophy of mostly my leg musculature, lower body stuff. That's really, I'm stood on pipe cleaners these days, and I really need to sort it out. And every year I say I'm going to sort it out this year. This year I'm going to sort this out and get it back into shape. And of course, shit happens. Like now I've bought a farm, so when am I going to have time to do planned exercise? I'm doing plenty of exercise around the place here, but it's not necessarily the kind of stuff that's going to build muscle back. So anyway, there's all of that. Yes, Flux, for those that don't know, is a program that you can use on your computer that removes the blue light from the display, or a lot of it. I have a spot of dry skin on my pinky. It has reduced since I went on a high meat diet. You mean a largely meat diet or high meat? Because they're two different things. But it is not completely gone after a year. Any possible recommendations to completely remove it? Yes, 5 health hacks.
Try
Absolutely.
100% carnivore. One thing is good to understand is that your skin is your largest organ. So if you think about your liver, your kidneys, et cetera, your skin is your largest organ. So if you have dryness here or dryness there, people like to purchase a cream or something that is going to fix it. But that's going to be more of a topical, local thing. But if you want to fix overall inflammation or dryness of some sort, 100% carnivore, try it for 90 days, exclude the coffee and the tea, see how you go. I think your skin is going to look amazing. Also, to that point, this is not about dry skin, but also cosmetics that we put on our face also have a lot of environmental toxins. So the phthalates, the parabens are not in the, well, the parabens can be in the cosmetics, but all these chemicals we have to think about, they affect our skin microbiome, which is a thing. We have a vaginal microbiome, an ear microbiome. So these different things we have to think about when it comes to our skin, but try 100% carnivore, see how you go. Also think about the other environmental toxins that could be affecting your skin health.
Yep. Awesome. Absolutely. How do you improve a low T3 and a high RT3? Well, here's the first thing I would do. Stop getting blood tests for such things. It's a waste of time. It does not give you the remotely useful information of any kind at all. What I always say to a person is this. I don't give two rip-roaring shits what your lab values are. What I want to know is, what is your affect? How do you feel? How do you interact with the universe? Is there any sign of a problem with your thyroid function? If so, what is it? And let's deal with that. Probably, almost certainly, if there is a thyroid problem, the way I'm going to suggest that a person acts in order to sort it out is 5 health hacks. Are you picking up the theme here yet, kiddies? There are 5 health hacks I think everyone should do for just about every potential situation. Yeah. Anyway.
It's also important to note that when you say the 5 health hacks over and over and over, it is very, very important. But so the low T3 and the high, I think it was reverse T4 or T3.
reverse.
So your thyroid is going to be, so any labs that you might have that are kind of off in those ranges, also bear in mind that the ranges that you'll see are not accurate. The ranges that are actually appropriate are actually very narrow ranges. And so seeing a functional doctor might be good if you're worried about thyroid. But as Bart is saying, the main things that you have to do to fix thyroid, if that is a concern, is the same things that you'll have to do to lower inflammation and improve overall health. One is 100% carnivore, and that includes enough fat and enough protein, and the other 4 hacks. Because unless you target the environmental toxins and stress along with what you eat, you're not going to fix any sort of inflammation. And thyroid, in terms of your biomarkers, if it's T3, T4, et cetera, that is just a test for your thyroid. And if that's off, it's going to be a level of inflammation. Lower the inflammation overall, which is the same approach for every single person, and then you're going to get there. And that's where Bart says the 5 hacks. If you do the 5 hacks, it's really, really going to help.
You're not blocked, clearly. Yes, thank you, Rina. Absolutely correct indeed. Indeed. All right. Do you need to take a calcium supplement on the carnivore diet? No, absolutely not. You do not need a calcium supplement, and you do not need to take dairy in for calcium either. You can take in dairy if you choose to for any reason, but to say you need it for calcium is false. You don't. No. We're just about out of time for our office hour, so we will be respectful of Rena's time, and I've got other things to do as well, so we will be closing off at this point. I know there are still 1 or 2 questions that didn't get answered today. Sorry about that. Come along on Saturday afternoon US time, Sunday morning in Australasia, very early probably in Australia, and very, very, very early in the west of Australia, I understand. But it's well worth it to show up to the weekly Q&A sessions that I do run as well. So would be very pleased to see you then. And the answer to your question is, will I sing the Steak and Eggs song? Well, of course I will, because it's the national anthem of the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia. And we close off every live stream by singing the national anthem, which does go a little bit something like this. Steak and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. I think they got it, didn't they? Look, thanks very much for being here, folks. Appreciate your input. Appreciate all those super chats that you didn't send today, fuckers. See you next time when someone will be wrong on the interwebs or something like that. Thank you very much, Rina. Remind us where we can find you.
theprimal.com and the Primal Podcast on YouTube.
There you go. Perfect. All right. See you later, boys and girls. Be good. Don't do anything that either Rina or I would do. See ya.
Bye.